name is Rachel Wright. I'm the National Policy Director for Wright on Crime, which is a national criminal justice campaign of the Texas Public Policy Foundation, where we focus on conservative, data-driven solutions to the criminal justice system that look at reducing crime, restoring victims, reforming offenders, and being very cognizant of the taxpayer dollar. The Sentencing Commission's proposed amendments today on drug sentencing cover issues and seek to improve a very complicated and evolving area of law. I will be focusing my remarks on Part A and Part B, the drug quantity table and the methamphetamine purity distinction. I'm also happy to answer any questions on Part C as it pertains to fentanyl and mens rea. The laws and sentencing guidelines on federal drug crimes have evolved over time. The types of drugs and the type of offender has also changed. Therefore, the sentencing guidelines and the policies surrounding this crime should also change. We have seen cartel members and transnational drug organizations who are peddling drugs, manipulating low-level offenders, and poisoning those with substance use disorder. I think that most people would agree that the punishment should fit the crime there. On the other side, the punishment should fit the crime whenever you have individuals who are not those transnational drug organizations and are not taking advantage of those with substance use disorder. To that end, we should look at the guidelines as a way to not be overly punitive, but rather to find options for reprieve for those who can be rehabilitated and reenter society as law-abiding taxpayers. The Sentencing Commission has been at the forefront of rectifying many of the wrongs of drug sentencing policy. For example, it was this body that first called to attention how the disparate sentencing between crack and powder cocaine was unnecessary and overly punitive. The Sentencing Commission also regularly reevaluates drug sentencing based on what's actually happening in the courtrooms. And this body does not shy away from the controversial and evolving areas of drug policy, such as fentanyl analogs and other synthetic drugs. So today, the Sentencing Commission is tackling another important issue, a thoughtful reevaluation of the drug quantity table. Does it measure culpability? Right now, the drug quantity table serves a purpose, and quantity does have a valid basis, but it is over-relied upon. Individual culpability, individual role should also play an important part in measuring the length of the sentence and an individual's culpability. Wright on Crime believes that the Commission should consider revisions that would focus on an individual's culpability in addition to the quantity. So there are tools at a prosecutor's disposal right now to seek enhancements depending on if the person can be identified as a leader, an organizer, or a manager of a criminal enterprise. And these role-based characteristics are important for those enhancement procedures. And yes, there are opportunities to also depart downwards, but I am very encouraged by the Commission's proposal on the specific offense characteristics for role-based departures. I'm happy to discuss that potentially non-exhaustive list in more detail with the Commission. Ultimately, as we can see from the methamphetamine purity distinction issue and the prevalence and expansion of synthetic drugs, quantity alone is no longer the strongest indicator of culpability, and this Commission should be doing excellent work as it is on evaluating how to best move forward. The Commission is also considering an amendment to address methamphetamine sentencing. As you all know, there is currently a 10-to-1 statutory and guideline ratio where it takes 10 times less pure methamphetamine to trigger the same penalty as it would for a more pure detectable amount of methamphetamine. And purity is a unique proxy only for this methamphetamine drug, and no other drug in the no other drug in the Controlled Substances Act is purity alone used as a proxy for culpability. Now, the impetus behind this purity distinction, I think, was well-meaning. It was in response to the domestic methamphetamine production crisis earlier this century. However, most methamphetamine now is made in Mexico, smuggled across the southwest border, and is incredibly pure. So the alleged purpose now in that purity distinction is largely moot. A growing number of federal courts have recognized this somewhat absurd purity distinction and have called for its abandonment in the sentencing guidelines. And to that end, Wright on Crime would urge this Commission to eliminate the purity distinction and focus the sentencing guidelines on the mixture range for all methamphetamine cases. This would still allow for dangerous methamphetamine offenders to still be facing long sentences where it is appropriate, but would also provide for consistency and accountability within the system. I thank you again for your time, and I'm happy to welcome your questions.